I just think that recruitment this summer is so monumental. Like, forget arguing about whether it's Carrick or Glasner or Iriola. If Ineos don't do their jobs and have a just as good a strike rate as they did last summer with the 4 signings, and they need to make more signings this year because we're having more games, people are leaving the football club, then forget about who the manager is. The squad's not going to be fit for purpose, mate. We don't have... Kobbie Mainoo, as it stands, because Ugarte is going to leave, he's not good enough, and Casemiro's gone. Kobbie Mainoo is the only central midfielder we actually have. The only one. We're looking at our fullbacks, like you said there, Jamie, not good enough. Like, Luke Shaw has done something he's never done because we've got 1 game a week, which is played every single game. And fair play to him. And he's robust sometimes and he understands the game, but he's not a modern-day fullback. Dalot, he's athletic, he's strong and stuff, but the quality's not there. Mazraoui's not that guy. He's a utility guy, can help him, come in and out, no problem. Wingers, you know, Joshua Zirkzee not good enough. He probably needs to leave. Then you need another... We need so many players that I'm like, guys, Michael Carrick's just calm. He's going to just hold the fort down, even if it's for the next 18 months. You just improve the squad. Even with Ruben Amorim, by buying, just by proxy of buying better players, we went from 15th to 6th, even with Ruben, because we got Cunha, because we got Mbeumo, because we got Sesko, because we got a decent keeper in Lamens. So by that logic, I've never seen a team get better, and I've never seen a team achieve top honours that don't have good players. But you know what I mean? But I've never seen that happen before. So it's the players. We have to get better players. And if Michael Carrick, I would at least like us to get to a point where we go, well, Michael Carrick does have this, and this. Actually, okay, he's not the guy. But I think we're miles away from that. Look where we're coming from, Ange.
Yeah, definitely. I think regarding the recruitment, like we said, there's areas, every single area of the pitch, you need somebody. And I know Scholes spoke on talkSPORT about the recruitment. You know, and I agreed with him talking about the midfield issues that we've got. You do need a backup goalkeeper for Senny Lomans. Like you said about the full-backs, Luke Shaw, I mean, he's had 1 season where he's been fit the majority of the time. That ain't going to continue. You're going to need an eventual replacement for him. Need a right back, you know, centre backs. I mean, Harry Maguire is good for now. He's not going to win you a Premier League, in my personal opinion. Martinez can't stay fit. Where's Matthias de Ligt? I don't even know what's going on with him. And yeah, every single area you can make an argument. And I know that there's the extra money with the Champions League, etc. But listen, the owners did well last season. That's the one thing that I can't complain about. Got rid of some important deadwood in Anthony and Alejandro Garnacho. Hoyland went out on loan. If Napoli do get the Champions League,
I think that's pretty much
then
done.
That's pretty much done. You know, Jadon Sancho, there's nothing you can do about that situation. Marcus Rashford obviously did get a move. We wait to see what happens with that Barcelona may try to do a loan deal, but realistically, I can't see him coming back to the club. So they've done good things in certain areas, but this one is going to be even more important. You think about, you know, players like Elliot Anderson, who I think would be fantastic. Nottingham Forest are going to want a bidding war. How do you work with that? I think you also look at other areas. You've got, you know, somebody like Senesi, you know, very, very good. The fact that Spurs are apparently like the front runners for him. I mean, I'm sure he'd rather play for United than potentially in the Championship. So there's a lot of options, but a big part of that as well is, I would imagine as a footballer, first question out your mouth is, well, who's my manager? Yeah. Who am I playing for? And I'm not saying that Michael Carrick's going to trump Pep Guardiola or Arteta. Oh, let me play for Michael Carrick, but at least you know what you're dealing with. Yeah.
We're going to get to Jamie in a second about, you know, talking about names that he's heard of and getting the latest info about transfers, Miles. But for you, how important is this summer and where do we need the investments, the players, the positions?
Yeah, this summer is so important. And I think for me, in the lead up to the end of the season, it was qualify for Champions League. That's what, for me, was, you know, had to be the benchmark. And, you know, I don't want to sound like I am, you know, on this train of, you know, Michael Carrick is the guy. I think I've convinced myself since we've been here. But he, you know, he's got us to that place, and he's also put out a lot of mini fires that have cropped up. We talk about De Ligt, who is, you know, suffering from this back injury. We don't know if he's coming back ever. We just don't know. And then, you know, there have been makeshift defensive pairings as well. Heaven, Maguire, etc. And then you've got the Kobbie Mainoo situation. Brought him back in, given him, so much confidence. We talk about Sesko as well. So I like what he's done with those little fires. He's, doused, quite a few of them. And now he's got us into the Champions League, and now we look forward and we see what we can do in the summer window. And obviously the big thing is, replacing Casemiro. That is the big thing. I wish, Carrick could have put out that fire and said, Casemiro, look, there's one more year.
Stay a little longer.
There's one more year. Do you want it? So that is the main thing for me. I think you could also argue that even though they have been good signings, Mbeumo hasn't quite, he started well.
He's come back and he's just not been the same.
Hey, listen, AFCON.
I don't know what's happened.
It changes,
Ahmad as well.
changes
He came
players.
back. He's
It
not the
changes
same.
players. Yeah, it's very true.
I mean?
It's very, very true. They both didn't have, the best of AFCONs as well, but both of them, you can kind of argue they've kind of fallen, fallen to the wayside as well. They are trying to find their form. Do we now look for, another player in those wide areas where sometimes Cunha is now dropping a bit deeper to pick up the ball from Bruno? I'm not so sure, but first and foremost, a Casemiro replacement, and a very, very good one.
Well, on that brings us nicely on to the next bit of the show, Jamie, because Casemiro replacement, we all know how important he has been. The turnaround that he's had has been unbelievable. The Stretford end is singing one more year, Casemiro, after every single game. His family, Mrs. Casemiro, is staying behind with the kids to join in on the song. But he has made it very, very clear, as has Michael Carrick, that he is going, even though I've tried many times to make
manifest
that...
it.
Manifest it.
Yeah.
We've all tried, but it's not going to be that. What are you hearing? You've given us a few insights here and there already about what you've been hearing. Elliot, Anderson, Edison from Atalanta as well. What are you hearing about the midfield rebuild at Manchester United?
Right, so you mentioned two there. There's also Tonali on the radar, Belieber and Wharton. Oh, and the gentleman at Bournemouth, is it Alex Scott?
Alex Scott, yeah.
A little bit further down the list. So I think at the moment that the club believe that Tonali and Anderson might be beyond them. And it's interesting what Angelina says there. And it's not Michael Carrick's fault, but, he's not Pep Guardiola, for example. Now, will Pep Guardiola be at City? This is an interesting thing, because obviously he's not then a massive draw. My information is that it'd be a surprise now if he does stay, and it'll be Maresca coming in.
It'll be a surprise if Pep Guardiola stays at Manchester City.
Yes, yeah. I'd be surprised now. Yeah, from what I'm told. Listen, at least the last two contracts when I've spoke to sort of, let's say, his friends, they really thought he was going to leave then, and he stayed.
Pep's going to do what Pep wants to do, isn't he?
Yeah, in a nutshell. So I think that at the moment, Tonali / Anderson are, they're not. The club don't necessarily think they're going to happen. Now it's interesting, right? I like the fact that they're actually looking at, say, Anderson, because I think if you ask me who I think, in my humble opinion, who's the best, it'd be him, right? So far on what I've seen, these things could change. So I like the fact that they're going for the best, and will it sort of throw I don't know, 80 or 90, whatever it be. So then you go down the list, and I think. I'm not against Wharton. I think he's a good player. He's, you can tell by the way I'm speaking about it. I don't think he's sort of Anderson, but he might be more that sort of ilk of player. But you're right. So it might be him. And sorry, the guy at Atalanta who I reported, I can't remember his name. Is it
Edison.
Really sorry about that. Yeah. So and I think because he would be a cheaper option. So I don't think they've got, let's say, 2 times 80 million. Pounds midfielder budget in them. So one would be like an 80 or a 70 or 80, and the one like an Edison. And then, if you go to other positions, I did a story on the guy at West Ham as left back, Malik Diouf, Senegal, 21-year-old. West Ham are aware that, Manchester United are looking at him. He didn't cost them too much. It'd probably be about a 40 million buy, maybe something like that, if it was to be sort of sold to Manchester United. It's interesting you say then about Højlund, because I know Højlund hasn't been on the books this year, but I don't know what you three people think. But do you need another forward? If it's just, I would suggest you do. But it's because then you'd have if he I know he wasn't on the books this time, but Sancho's out of contract. Rashford, I don't think. Listen, if United want to dig their heels in, Rashford's still their player, but I don't think that's going to happen. No. I think Barcelona, they do want another loan. I think United want a sale, but Barcelona in a stronger position because they know United don't really fancy Rashford. For therefore, why should we shell out, I don't know, 25 or 26 when we could just get him on loan again? I'm not saying United would go for that, but I think that's maybe where it's at the moment, that situation. And then, I mean, in terms of money, they are getting, Casemiro's leaving, obviously. You tell me, but it's a lot of money he's on. Let's say 300 plus. It would have been Champions League bump. Then you get to Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes is an interesting one. I'm not actually a member of the Football Writers Association, but we as in the Football Writers have got. Yeah, listen, I wouldn't want to be a member of a club that won't me as a member, right? But I think it's the right decision. I love Bruno Fernandes. I think he's been actually. You can make a case, apart from maybe Kevin De Bruyne was in his pomp, for being the best player in the Premier League for the last 3 or 4 years with Salah, right? Because of what he's done in a United team that's struggled. He's been an unbelievable footballer. There's a lot of jealousy around, and I'm really glad that my industry is recognised, because hopefully then his peers, the peers will do the same. But is he going to stay? I mean, I think he will. So.
I think he will.
I think so. But imagine if he was to leave. Can you imagine the hoo-ha? If they were to allow that to happen. So it is a massive summer. And when you were just outlining it then, Flex, and you did it early, Angelina, you can make a case for a position. You need a deputy, like a backup keeper, probably,
100%.
Right? Anana, I did a story, obviously well sourced. You can probably guess from which side that Anana wanted to come back and fight for his place. But
good for him.
He might want to do that, but is he going to? I can't really see that happening. Even though he's obviously a very nice guy and all that. So this is it is a little bit of a state of flux. But what we're talking about here is all the time this catch-up thing with United, because unlike Manchester City, sorry to mention that club, it's not, or it hasn't been since Ferguson left, a properly run football club in the hierarchy. It's been a bit of a sort of free-for-all, and it's always been hand-to-mouth in terms of this summer we're going to bring in Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger or Di Maria or what I'm trying to say.
It's been a scattergun approach, hasn't it? And that is where Ineos really need to get a hold of this, don't they? And
actually, just very quickly going back to the whole thing about do they sort of quite fancy aspects of Carrick. I like the fact that they're actually doing that, right? Even if they should go for Carrick, and then I like the fact that they're not just saying, okay, waving him through. We need to really look at this. It's such an important. I think that's good if you're a fan or anyone who sort of looks at United like I do as a reporter. I think that's good that they've got that in there, because that says to me that hopefully the recruitment of the players will also be as stringent and as analytical and as professional as possible.
Yeah.
But it is. I won't say it's a mess now, but it's still a little bit in a state of flux, your club, I'd suggest.
Yeah. And I think we're in a position where we still can't count on them. We have to keep learning about Ineos to deliver on what they say they're going to deliver on. Let's take a couple of minutes to quickly go through our next game against Nottingham Forest at home. Last home game of the season. Casemiro's hopefully he's fit. We don't know actually at the time of recording if he's fit or if he's not. Ange, final home game, a few farewells in the lineup, a couple of people's last games at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional one with Casemiro, isn't it? Because as much as you've been manifesting Flex, he is out the door. His wife and kids aren't going to be in that box next season. That's going to be sad. A few other names that, Joshua Zirkzee, Manuel Ugarte, etc. I hope it's their last game at Old Trafford. Not to be horrible about them, but they're just not good enough at the end of the day. So, it'll be a good one. I think that the fans, listen, United have got some of the best fans in the world, and as much as it's been kind of nice in 2026, there's been a lot this season, a lot that the fans have had to endure. So, fans will be up for it. Hopefully, the players give them something to cheer about.
Quick one from you, Miles. You're expecting a better performance. Put it right that we didn't lose against Sunderland, but last home game, it's been a turbulent time. But Michael Carrick has brought some real good feelings back to Old Trafford. Home win against Manchester City, home win against Liverpool, big win against Aston Villa. We'll be looking for the same again. Yeah,
I mean, hopefully a better result than Sunderland. I just wish Michael Carrick had kind of told us that we were going to play that way, or he was going to put forward that squad. So definitely looking forward to a better game, and hopefully, send off Casemiro and a few other boys who probably need to leave in a happier fashion. 3 points, that's what we want.
Exactly, that's what we need against Forest. Okay, now it's time for our bet builder with BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or head over to betmgm.co.uk. Ange, last home game of the season against Nottingham Forest. What you got for us?
So I have gone first up over 6.5 total corners by Man United. I mean, even in that Sunderland draw, United had 8, so feel like that'll be no problem at all. Then United to be winning at half-time and at full-time. Like I said, it's a home game. They've got to give the crowd something to cheer for, and I think that Forest have probably given up the ghost a little bit. You know, they've got nothing to play for and a lot of injury issues, especially after that Villa game in Europe. And I've gone with goals in both halves because, again, it's the last chance for some players to maybe impress. Casemiro, it'd be nice for him to get a goal in his last game at Old Trafford. Bruno will want that assist record, so he's going to be creating chances throughout. So, yeah, overall, over 6.5 total corners by United. Man United to be winning at half-time and full-time, and goals in both halves.
I like it. It's positive. It's what we need after a mundane result at the Stadium of Light. OK, that's all we've got time for on Inside. There was a big thanks to Angelina Kelly, of course, Miles, Addy and Jamie Jackson down the line. It's been a big one. This show is sponsored by BetMGM. Remember, you can download the app or visit betmgm.co.uk, 18+, gambleaware.org, and please gamble responsibly. And we will see you next time.